Thank you so much for being here tonight. And my name is Claudia Arana, and I'm the gallery administrator at Stude Gallery. We are very excited to be able to host 2020 mentorship exhibition at Stude Gallery, Making Spaces, and are delighted to have these talented emerging artists with us. But before I continue, I would like to begin by acknowledging the land on which Stude Gallery is placed, as is the traditional territory of the Wendat Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, and the Métis Nation. Today, Meeting Place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are very grateful to have the opportunity as immigrants to this land to work and present here. I also want to acknowledge government arts funding, all of which support our vision of a more diverse arts scene in Toronto. So I would like to thank the Canada Council for the Arts, Canadian Heritage, the Ontario Arts Council, the Toronto Arts Council, and the City of Toronto through Section 37. Now I would like to introduce you all to Tamara Toledo, Curator and Director of Stude Gallery and Latin American Arts Projects.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to see some familiar faces and so pleased with the results of the mentorship program. Although it's been a hard process because we've gone through so much with COVID and so many changes have happened throughout the process. But I'm sure you will enjoy the culmination of the mentorship program with this exhibition. And the mentees were able to really delve into the program and enjoyed it. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Stude Gallery. Stude Gallery delivers thought-provoking and critically engaging exhibitions and public programming to our audiences. We have provided professional development opportunities for artists and art practitioners throughout the years. And we've also offered educational experiences for children and youth. And the mentorship program in particular provides participants with skills and opportunities to develop relationships needed to build strong careers in the arts. And they participated with different throughout different workshops and tours, and they had lots of opportunities to network with other colleagues and professionals, and it was a very enriching opportunity for them to ultimately to build strong careers in the arts. And it's geared for Latin American emerging artists and curators. So now I would like to share with you a video we prepared during the process. Some of the footage is before COVID, and we're working on other videos with some documentation of interviews and the entire process of the mentorship program, but that one's not ready yet, but we're sharing a brief one, a shorter version. So Claudia, do you want to show it?
Yes. Okay, so let me just share my screen over here. Okay. Okay, good. So you can always come back and check more videos on studegalleryvirtual.ca. And here we go.
Stude Gallery's mentorship program is a professional development program for emerging artists and curators of Latin American descent. Mentees receive instruction and skills development to further expand their knowledge of how the industry operates. The program includes lectures and workshops with invited guests, as well as field trips to galleries, artist-run centers, and art institutions. Post-secondary students and recent graduates are encouraged to participate and focus on the development of practice, ideas, and implementation. The program culminates in a final exhibition at Sur Gallery, managed and curated by the mentees. Sur Gallery's mentorship program strengthens and expands professional opportunities for emerging Latin American artists in Canada.
Great. That gives you a brief idea of what the mentorship program was all about, and how the mentees were able to really engage with different galleries and institutions throughout the city, meet important and crucial people within the industry that would help develop their careers after they go through the program. And yeah.
It's great, yes. Now we're gonna listening and we're gonna get to know a little bit more about our curator, Karina Roman, who's gonna share a little bit about her approach and her process, which was very, very interesting in curating and putting together this exhibition. So Karina, please.
Thank you for that introduction, Claudia. Thank you everyone for being here, and I will share a presentation, and this is kind of the path that this mentorship and then also the preparation for this exhibition has kind of enclosed, and the things that it has bring along the way. It's been a privilege working with such amazing emerging artists. It's also, I'm glad to say that we've also become a really close group, and I consider them my friends and colleagues. And this exhibition kind of shows a bit of the result of the experience of being in the mentorship, not only coordinating it, but as myself feeling I was a mentee myself. I really thank Sur for the opportunity to allowing me to expand my career by working for the gallery. So thank you. Today we're here in a new space as well. This virtual realm is our first virtual opening. So this is also kind of a new space for most of us. As you know, the exhibition, it's made by artists Ana Luisa Bernardo Snow, Denire Isabel, Michelle Peraza, Camila Salcedo, and Aline Ceron. All of them are young artists, emerging artists, but most of all, they are really strong women. And it's been a pleasure, as I mentioned before, working with them. And well, the question kind of started thinking about what defines space and how do we make or take a space, and most importantly, for whom do we make a space? Because this mentorship was a little bit about that as well. We wanted to make place for emerging artists from Latin American descent to not only expand their career, but to have the opportunities to be part of the local artist scene. And that's sometimes hard to do. But with in the context of the mentorship, it kind of became this sort of exploring different issues, where it became this space for not only sharing experiences, but also not only having the interest to learn certain skills. It was also this space for having conversations of things that we weren't able to find in other spaces, not even at school, not working in other places, art spaces, or sometimes it's hard to be in the art scene here. So in our other context where we are constantly moving around in our lives. So that is kind of what exhibition started to emerge, this idea, even before we knew it was going to be a thing. We also talk a lot about community. So I found like these post-its that we have on our first session. And this was kind of like the expectatives mentees had. And it was about like community building, creating community, collaboration, creating as a group, talk about identity, questioning our own Latinidad, and also kind of this like be more involved with community again, as you can see, like the art community. So this idea was very strong, and we kind of started following that up in the other conversations we had with our other lecture guests. There's been a lot of amazing conversations, especially want to think like Bonnie Devine, Diana Bowen, and Tanya Willard. We also have Ruth, who's here as well, and Mirna Chassin. We found that those were really strong conversations, and thanks for sharing with us your knowledge as well along the way. So here are some pictures of that. We also visit some spaces, but this constant moving around places, spaces, and also in our thoughts. So for the concept of making spaces, I kind of saw this as the practice of each artist as well, like where were they working on and their interests. And after seeing the result of these pieces that we'll further talk about later on, well, for me, this idea of space was very related to a notion of place as well, of sight, and kind of like the nuances that are between them. And even more, to go more specific, I was thinking about like the physical and the psychological experience of space, of place, and the relationships we develop with them. So then it kind of became about the land, space as a place, a specific place. And that is something that you will see in Aline Seton's work, and also in Ana Luisa's work. It is this idea of the land where we stand now, the lands that we miss, our homeland, and kind of how we move between those. Then there is a more abstract space, which can be in our memory as well. Memory as this space, this realm we inhabit, where we kind of break this linear time as well. We go like thinking about our own memories, probably childhood, family experiences, but we can even go beyond that. What about the memory of our ancestors? Those kind of things that get lost along the way. So we were thinking about those things too. And suddenly the body as the side, because we're talking about this moving body that we go from one place to another, that we relate to places through our body and our embodied experiences of them as well. So then the idea of the face was really how we put also emphasis, meanings, and sometimes overcode the face as well. And then we have the work of Camila Salcedo and also Michelle Peraza. There's a way they focused on the face that to me was very fascinating in the artwork included here. Oh, and in memory, I want to mention that Danny Ray was doing such a beautiful work trying to find these connections between ancestry and where we stand now, and also within practice as well. So the memory that we carry through certain objects and kind of like cultural indicators or just aesthetics that can also be brought back and forth in time. And the ways to rework that through kind of trying to follow the thread of memory. So that is kind of how I see this very fluid notion of what a space can be and how a space can be inhabited as well. Here we see a little bit of Toronto Boom, which it's about Toronto land, and especially localized in the harbor front where the gallery is placed and is located, and how the gallery itself also becomes part of this narrative, kind of thinking about how the land was first inhabited by Anishinaabe peoples, and then how this building boom doesn't come, that is not really that recent. We are seeing it now and we feel it more like that, but it's been like these layers of building over something, over histories, and how can we start breaking those layers down and kind of reveal the stories and the histories of land itself. Then Ana Luisa's piece talks about this relationship with also a very specific place, which is the coast in the Caribbean, like in Venezuela. For her, the beaches eliminate those space and how her body feels when she goes back home and then she comes here. And through fabric and some videos and family footage, her installation bring us there. But not only bring us to that space or those specific beaches, she bring us to the ocean, to the sand, and as well to to this feeling like of embodied, how that sometimes displacement can affect our own bodies. And then we have the nearest piece, low new context, which kind of speaks about these breaking these linearities, like low and textile are involved there. Like she was inspired by pre-Columbian textiles and to create a more contemporary practice of weaving through digital medium. So this also talks about this communication between what we consider traditional, what we consider modern, but at the same time, it's this psychological place or this internal memory felt by emotion too, of how sometimes we are frustrated by this knowledge that has been sort of been taken away from us through colonial stories, and which knowledges weren't deemed relevant for us to learn through generations as well. And that is kind of like this reworking of rebuilding a memory, but at the same time creating something new. But it's all connected. You can also see it as like one thing as well. And it's nice to experiment with new medium. Then we have this notion of the side, like the face. And here, Michelle Peraza in with White Sister and Brown Sister. Sorry, I think I misspelled that there. Typo. Oh, okay, sorry about that. But she speaks about her own personal approach to colorism, how being light skin or darker skin in one's own family, the community we call home, is also hard to navigate, but at the same time it's so common, and some issues that especially in our Latin American communities we really want to address and pinpoint out because it's relevant, because it still matters, and because it connects to wider issues outside our own family realm. Then if we follow the thread, I will invite you to kind of take your cell phones if you have them, and that's a QR code. And well, this one is it's a work by Camila Salcedo, and it's like choose your mask. And here this work is a bit more of a result of like really changing concepts, because COVID arrived when we were thinking about making spaces, and suddenly we were confronted by the reality of how do we make a space when we cannot be in contact with each other? How do we create a space where we can still feel connected and cared for? And along this way, we've been in communication with the group and trying to also help each other in our own capacities. But here we go to wider issues as well. It's not only as is what's happening around what has been exacerbated by COVID. So the concept of having something more dynamic inside, it has become actually putting it out there on the virtual lands. And this is kind of like protest. We're thinking here to make a space for the Black community, like addressing Black Lives Matter, or also like some of the issues we feel the closest to as well, like the movement for abortion rights that emerged in Argentina, and lately the 28th of September, there has been many protests in different countries of Latin America for abortion rights as well. Like again, we go back to the body of female individuals that want the right to have the right to choose what they do with their own bodies. But here we go to this space and we go like to the face, because we're talking about masks and how do these issues that I just mentioned intersect with masks. Well, what Camila did was she put a filter, and you can choose your mask in the filter, and it will show you different types of like shields that address kind of the COVID issue, but then you will also find one red, one green one green bandana, and then a black mask, which those represent kind of like how you put this in your face to kind of also address an identity with a group, with a community that is thriving, that is struggling as well. So this is a kind of activism. One kind of thing that it's also mentioned in the piece is that when Camila put this up there, there was a mention from an observation from Instagram saying that she should take the original messages that were actually there, which were the like abortion right now, and the other one was I can't read, because they were deemed too violent. So Camila had to adapt that, but then there are ways that we can continue with this activism, and I would invite you to try the mask and by yourself, please add the filter if you can. Add your own, like the message that has been kind of banned by Instagram. So those are kind of the spaces like we are trying to build with this exhibition. We invite the audience to become part of those spaces, but also they're like very fluid. We want to have this idea that a space, it's not really defined, and that it can become anything we intend them to become, but we also have to take care of what happens in those spaces. We also have to take accountability for the spaces we build, and also for who we let in or who we let out. So that is kind of like the concept behind it. This is a little bit of sneak peek of what went behind the scenes of making the exhibition. So you can see that we're sometimes like we're wearing masks and all that, but it was also nice to be part of that process. And again, I feel very privileged to have participated in the making, and also kind of like that space of reflection that allowed me, that the mentorship program allowed me as well. Now I would like you all to think about what space is for you. So you can also use that QR, but what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna share a link in the chat with the group, and you can also go to that. And it's kind of to answer for you, for each of you, how would you define a space, and how for whom do you want to build the spaces? So you can just click in that link or go through that QR if that helps you. You just have to fill in the box and just submit, and then I will be sharing that in a minute. So I'll leave a couple of minutes for all of you to do that. Is everybody finding it okay? Are you able to access it? So just wait. Kind of. Okay, I see some answers are arriving, so please feel free to fill that in. Oh, okay. Someone says family, just like very, very direct and quite clear. That's nice. I will be sharing the answers, but I would like to have more people participating if possible. So yeah, so just kind of think about like the first thing, like if someone asks you what's a space, you just kind of your most intuitive, or maybe after like kind of learning more about the concept of the exhibition, how do you envision the space now? Okay, we have some answers, so I will share them. And let's do the share screen again. You know, everybody, if you are seeing it now. So here are some of the answers, which is family, spaces where you can be your own self, making space the safest spaces for ourselves is crucial. emerging artist, a place where something appealing is happening. Everybody with an open mind. It's a nice, like an open mind, a space that you can always inhabit. Dimensional, hopefully. See some more answers. I would define a space as synonymous with a place. They should be affirmative, pluralistic, and welcoming for all. I like that one. I like them all actually, because adds up to this exhibition actually. It's like kind of the spaces you can bring into our own space, to the gallery or to the site or to each artwork. I see each artwork as a space as well. So yeah, it's nice. Thank you everybody for sharing. And now I will leave the platform to Claudia, who will be talking a little bit more about our virtual space now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Karina. That was an amazing exercise, and I'm so happy to see, first of all, so many people. We have 31 participants right now, so that's amazing. And it will be great also to know from where are you joining us tonight. So if you want to just let us know, because I noticed that we have people from Chile, we have people from Brazil, so it would be nice to know that and to engage with more people. Oakville we have here, Montreal, that's amazing. Scotland, and it's very late, so that's very cool. Kingston, Ontario. So this is Portugal. Okay, Vancouver. This is something so interesting to see, that I mean, even though we are not able to have our in-person opening as we usually do, we do have right now the possibility to have family, to have friends, to have people from all over the world. So that's something that we should definitely consider as successful. So thank you so much for joining. And what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be sharing with you our virtual platform. If you haven't visited, it's surgalleryvirtual.ca. And we have right now I'm sharing my screen right now, so everyone can see. It's okay. So this is the main page of our Stude Gallery Virtual, and of course you're going to see right away our beautiful exhibition banner, and you're going to be able to read a little bit about the exhibition, and you're going to find a link where you can read actually the full essay by Karina Roman. So it's very interesting if you want to check it out and take the time to read it. It's very interesting how she managed to put like a lot of concepts and ideas together, and linking this with very insightful thoughts about the exhibition and the whole process. Of course, we're going to be able to check the programming, which I'm going to invite you all to continue to join and to register for our upcoming events. We're going to be able to check the artists, the artworks, we're going to know a little bit more about the curator. And of course, we're going to be able to explore the virtual tour. So this is all on the main page, on the landing page, but also you're able to navigate very easy using the menu on your left side. So I just want to first introduce you all, because we have them today right here with us, our amazing artists. We have Ana Luisa Bernardez Knotts, which is a Venezuelan multidisciplinary artist and DJ. You're going to be able to read more about her bio over here, also visit her website. We have Denire Isabel, also from Venezuela. We have Michelle Peraza, which is a Cuban and Costa Rican descendant. We have Camilo Salcedo, an interdisciplinary artist and community organizer that will share with us a little bit more about her work. And we have Aline Seton. So this is just a brief introduction, just so you get familiar with these faces. And as I mentioned before, we're able to read more about Karina the essay, and then we can just jump in to each of the works. But before I share with you the works, I'm gonna actually walk you through our amazing space. So once you enter to the virtual tour, you're gonna see this window popping up that it's gonna just give you some tips to use the virtual tour and to enjoy it, to have the best experience possible. So of course, I'm going to encourage you to use full screen, and just to navigate, you're gonna need to click and scroll around. And just by clicking and scrolling around, we're gonna be able to just check the place. So for those of you who haven't been at Stude Gallery, this is our gallery. This is the main entrance, and here we have our main wall where we usually display the information about our exhibition. And then now that we're here, we're gonna be able to navigate. So every time you see these icons, that means that you're able to interact with them, and you are moving forward. And then the first work that we're able to see is the work of Aline Seton. And just as you were in the gallery, you have the description and the label right there. And you can click on a video that we did for her, and I'm gonna play it for you right now, where she elaborates a little bit more about her work.
In this installation, you'll be able to find fragments of a research that was focused around the changes that the landscape of the waterfront has gone through. So starting with the original vegetation, I moved into looking at the first maps and the ownership of the land and how the city grew to make space for the structures that are visible here today. With a focus on the architecture, I wanted to use the planes available in the room to create a composition that would become a three-dimensional collage. So I used the walls and the windows and the pillars as a support for the work. You'll see the references to the style of construction that you can see around the waterfront that is basically used using steel and glass. Even with collaging, I am first looking at an image that is already done, and then I'm taking out fragments, so deconstructing it, and then building up something new from those references.
Okay, so that was a video. And if we turn around on your left, now you're gonna see the main space. And just as I mentioned before, we have all these different icons that will take us to the different works. So now we have the beautiful and amazing work of Michel Perez. His portraits are something that she worked for quite a while. And Michelle, if you are listening, can you just unmute yourself and just tell us a little bit about your work while I'm gonna be just zooming in.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the paintings are oil on panel. And so with these works, I intended to create a dialogue or a conversation or even a tension between my two sitters, which are my sisters. And I was really thinking about the difference in skin color I see in my own family and in a bigger picture in Latin America. And then where do we fit into big conversations like aesthetics and race and ethnicity and decolonization?
That's great, wonderful. And can you tell us just, I'm curious, how long it took you to finish these two paintings?
I probably started, I think I started at the end of December and I finished, I believe, at the end of April. So around 4 months or so.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's great. Well, as you can see, the size and the proportion related, like in relation to the space, it's you can see that the size, the scale, it's very interesting. Okay, now we turn around. Thank you, Michelle. We turn around and now we're gonna check the work of Ana Luisa. So Ana, if you're right here, you can hear me. You want to just tell us a little bit about your work?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. So this work is called Cuerpos de Agua, or Bodies of Water. And it's my thesis for my BFA that I just finished in May this year. It's the first time I show it in a space, so this is quite special for me. So this multimedia installation is something that have been working on since September last year because it was my thesis work. And it includes the cyanotype that you see, the big piece, the overall, and then it includes 2 other videos. The overall work was research that I did throughout the months about what my body had gone through once I moved to Toronto from Venezuela, which was 5 years ago, and what my body kind of went through being separate and goes through still while being separated from this physical land that I was raised on. And I specifically looked into my relationship with the ocean and with the Caribbean Venezuelan coastline. That's a place that I frequented a lot when I was growing up. And it's something that a very special connection that I have with this space. And it also includes some old VHS that were taken by my mom and my dad and other family members in this same space, in the same coastline, through which I was trying to explore as well and look into the intergenerational connection that my family and my ancestors have with this land. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great.
If you want to unmute the video.
Yes, yes.
It might be a bit loud.
Well, as you can see, thank you, Anna. As you can see, you're able to enjoy the exact same pieces, the exact same file. I'm gonna just put this one just a little bit longer. I'm gonna turn the Okay, thank you. So if we turn around again, we're gonna see on the right side Camila's work, which is the Instagram filter that you are able to download here. If I click here, it will immediately take me to Instagram to download. But I think that I'm gonna just play a little bit of this video that Camila put together, in which she showed the different. Well, actually, Camila, I know you're here. You're gonna explain it better than me.
Yeah, so it's actually a diptych of two different videos. On the left side, it shows the original filter with prior to Instagram censoring the filter. So it does include the text, as Karina was mentioning, and on the right, the other video shows kind of how people have responded to that censorship with GIFs or text on top. Yeah, the work itself, originally I wanted to do actually a community-based textile project, but had become really kind of frustrated with kind of what COVID has meant for me as an artist that works with community, and kind of also during this time noticing how despite COVID happening, communities are still gathering to protest and to bring to light issues that continue to happen, like violence against Black people and the policing of women's bodies, as well as in Venezuela, lack of gasoline, etc., that is currently taking place. So yeah, and more generally, I guess the filter also kind of contrasts with the other protests that have been going on in terms of predominantly Republican people in the United States protesting for their rights to be unmasked. So in a way, this filter is also a protest against that. And yeah, generally speaking about how masks are a signifier of identity, but they also kind of obscure your face. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you, Camila, for sharing that. And yeah, as you can see, it's a very interesting interactive piece. I hope that you all are able to check and download the filter and try it for yourself. And now we're going to turn to our left, and we're going to check the work of Denide Isabel. We have the label outside right here, just as we have it in the gallery. And if we click over here, we're going to be able to check the installation. We have again the artwork description if you want to check it again. And I'm going to share now another video that we did in which Denide elaborates on this low new context.
Bringing together hand weaving and materiality with digital media is an incredibly enticing challenge to me. The two seemingly different mediums act as metaphor while I travel between worlds. I've interpreted pre-Columbian, pre-contact textiles from Latin America into this short animation you can watch as it climbs upwards as if I were actually the one weaving it. Interrupting the imagery are these elusive cubes. They reference the woven structure, plain blocks, and pixels. With this install, I explore the notions of play, discovery, and cultural context. I wonder what parts or how much of culture and our beings are inherent, learned, or adapted. What parts can we honor and which no longer fit into our futures? Having grown up between contexts has seared into me impressions of cultural knowledge, but they live on loan, belonging to no one and all of us.
Okay, so once again, we can just turn around, and if we want to go back, we also have over here this menu where it will allow you to also go back to the different scenes if it's easier for you. So yeah, that's our virtual tour. And yeah, I'm glad that we were able to put this together and to walk you through our space and our gallery. I just want to briefly remind people that we do are having appointments. We're open by appointment, so don't forget that you can always book your appointment. We're open Fridays and Saturdays, and you can always email me, Claudia, at surgallery.com. And yeah, and also like we will have the different upcoming programming, which I will let you know in a bit. So I just wanted to double check if anyone has a question, has something that they want to share. Like, remember that this is an opening, and you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and say hi or share any thoughts that you have about the exhibition. I'm going to read the chat here from Dina Setan. Amazing work. Congrats for all. Great work from Ruth del Fresno. Sarah Lauren, amazing. Thank you, everyone. Oh yeah, and then she shared that tag Lily Arepa, which is Camila and Sur Gallery, if you use the filters. So in that way, we're going to be able to track and to get to know a little bit more about that interaction and that traffic with the filter. And yeah. Okay. The artists, they want to share anything else?
I wanted to thank everyone, especially my family who's here today. It's very interesting to be part of this exhibition with Latin American artists and be able to share the opening with Latin America in a way, in a very unpredictable way, but it's working out great. And thank you to all the amazing women who are part of this exhibition. I'm super impressed with everyone's work, and I'm really honored to be part of this with everyone. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Aline. Anybody else? Tamara, do you want to say something?
I think Louise wants to. Louise Burns.
Hi. I didn't want to speak just because I'm obviously not an artist or anything, but I just wanted to say I really, really enjoyed seeing all the diverse range of work. I'm studying curatorial practice in Scotland, so it was really interesting to hear Karina talking about the process and everything as well. Well done, everyone. It looks amazing. That was pretty much all I wanted to say. And I think it's really, really good that, you know, coming from such a terrible situation across the world just now, that art is becoming more accessible, and being able to see the virtual tour and make the work interactive with the Instagram filters. It's really amazing. I think all the work that's been done is amazing. So well done, everyone.
I'm curious to know, Louise, how did you hear about the virtual tour?
It was on Eventbrite, so I've pretty much been scouring them, just really interested in taking, making use of the fact that there's so many talks that across the world that I can now attend.
Mhm.
So I've been across the world today, which has been great.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Karina, do you want to add anything else?
No, just again, thanks, Louise. Actually, that idea of having this space to share kind of help us go back to the concept and kind of the intention behind the exhibition, also behind the mentorship itself, and as well of the kind of relationships we want to create within the art world, but within our own communities that we're constantly moving around. So I want to thank everybody for being here, for becoming now part of this shared space as well.
And on that note, I also wanted to thank Karina, who's done an amazing job organizing and curating the exhibition, but also organizing the entire process of the mentorship program. It wouldn't have been possible, of course, with the funding that we received from Canadian Heritage, but also with the hard work that she's invested into this project. And I also wanted to thank Claudia for working on the virtual tour. That looks amazing, and how she's been able to do all of this in such a short amount of time. Once we heard that we had to close our doors, she got very busy and said, well, we have to do something. This can't just, we had an exhibition on already, and it had only been a few weeks up. And she went to the gallery and started this idea of creating virtual tours for people to engage with the work. So I just want to thank Claudia in this platform for all her hard work on that as well. And of course, the mentees, you've been also patient. It's been a much longer program that we anticipated. And of course, we never thought we would be having an exhibition during a pandemic. But I think the results have been amazing, and you've all created such beautiful and engaging work. And I'm super proud of what you've done.
Great. Awesome.
Well, I think that with that we can end this virtual opening. Thanks again for your attendance. Thanks again for your comments, for your participation and engaging with us as well. So have a good night, you all, or I don't know if it's night everywhere where you are, but have a nice rest of the day, night.
Okay.